past midnight over open ocean, a naval aviator descends toward a deck 300 meters long, rolling through heavy seas. No horizon. At 250 kilometers per hour, they must catch one of 4 arresting wires. Miss them all, and only full throttle keeps them alive. Inside the world of carrier pilots, this isn't the emergency. This is routine, and the margin for error is thinner than you think. To the aviators who fly them, a carrier landing is a controlled crash. It is an exercise in violent precision, where high-performance aircraft must be forced onto a pitch-black moving deck. During a catapult launch, steam or electromagnetic pistons accelerate a 25-ton jet from 0 to 270 kilometers per hour in 2 seconds, slamming 3 to 4 times the force of gravity against the pilot's chest. This rapid acceleration pulls blood away from the brain, narrowing the visual field into tunnel vision or a grayout. The landing is equally punishing. The aircraft's tailhook snags an arresting cable, bringing the machine to a complete stop in 2 seconds. The resulting 4G deceleration compresses the pilot's spine and sends their heart rate soaring toward its physical limit. At night, the challenge shifts from physical endurance to sensory survival. With no natural horizon and zero depth perception, pilots fly into what feels like a black void. Sea spray can obscure the carrier's optical landing lights, leaving the aviator entirely dependent on cockpit instruments and the calm, steady voice of the landing signal officer. Operating in this environment requires absolute cognitive control, as even a split-second delay in correcting glide path or speed can lead to catastrophic failure. Under these conditions, the human body is pushed to its physical limits, transforming flight into a test of pure neurological resilience. The daily reality of this environment begins in the ready room, far below the flight deck. Here, amidst the hum of the ship, aviators receive their pre-flight briefings. This is the moment where abstract mission parameters translate into concrete steps. From there, pilots move to the paraloft to gear up. Harnessing into the tight, heavy layers of survival equipment, checking G-suit connections, and mentally reviewing ejection seat procedures serves as the psychological transition from shipboard life to the cockpit. Once strapped into the jet, the cycle accelerates. The catapult launch delivers the hardest physical punctuation of the day, forcing the aircraft from a complete standstill to 270 kilometers per hour in roughly 2 seconds. But this violence is only the beginning. A typical sortie lasts for hours, demanding sustained vigilance and constant management of fuel, navigation, and active systems. The pressure remains high throughout the flight, shifting from raw physical forces to intense cognitive management. When the mission ends, the landing phase begins. Pilots guide their aircraft back into the landing pattern, executing a precise sequence of turns before catching one of the steel arresting cables. Back on deck, the flight is not yet over. The aviator heads directly to the debriefing room, where landing signal officers dissect every second of the approach, scoring the recovery before the pilot can step away. During high-tempo operations, this entire sequence repeats multiple times in a single day, making constant repetition the heaviest psychological cost of the job. While a daytime recovery requires intense concentration, daylight provides a visible horizon. Night removes it entirely, transforming the landing into the single most dangerous routine maneuver in aviation. This environment pushes human physiology to its absolute limits, raising pilot heart rates higher than those recorded during active combat. Before an aircraft even reaches the carrier, pilots face the precision demands of aerial refueling over an empty ocean, where a single unstable approach can shear a fuel probe. If a jet returns damaged from a combat mission, the risk multiplies. When a tailhook fails to deploy, the deck crew must rapidly raise a 20-foot-high emergency nylon barricade to snag the wings of a 25-ton aircraft traveling at 250 kilometers per hour. Below the flight path, the ship itself is a workplace of constant movement and permanent exposure. Here, safety relies on a tightly synchronized team of deck crew wearing colored jerseys. Yellow shirts guide the aircraft, coordinating launches and recoveries. Green shirts manage fueling and heavy ordnance on a deck that pitches and rolls in rough seas. Blue shirts operate the catapults and arresting gear, working inches away from steel cables under immense tension. Together with red-shirted ordnance teams handling explosives and white-shirted safety inspectors, they move amidst turning jet blades, hot exhaust, and volatile fuels. In this environment, a single misstep on a wet, heaving deck can sweep someone into the freezing sea, turning a standard shift into an immediate fight. for survival. The Naval Safety Command records an average of 11.5 Class A mishaps every year, representing events involving permanent disability, loss of life, or over $2 million in damage. For student aviators, the pressure to perform is intense. Historical data reveals that 38% of candidates wash out during carrier qualification, primarily due to flight failure or voluntary drops. These numbers reflect an environment where modern safety is written in the lessons of past disasters. On July 29, 1967, an accidental rocket ignition on the USS Forrestal triggered explosions that killed 134 sailors. The tragedy forced a complete overhaul of ordnance handling, mandated automatic flight deck foam systems, and expanded shipboard damage control teams. Just a year earlier, in 1966, a magnesium flare ignited aboard the USS Oriskany, claiming 44 lives. This disaster led to strict flare handling buddy checks and a mandatory 72-hour catastrophic fire training module for every crew member. Even routine recoveries carry severe risk. In 1981, an EA-6B Prowler crashed on the deck of the USS Nimitz, killing 14 people. The resulting investigation mandated dual-channel nose-wheel steering systems and revolutionized training for landing signal officers, forcing them to practice rapid wave-off decisions in high-fidelity simulators. Every flight deck procedure, every safety zone marking, and every emergency checklist used today exists because somewhere in the past, a crew paid for that knowledge with their lives. Earning the right to land on a moving deck requires years of progressive training, transforming raw ambition into reliable instinct. The process begins in primary training, where candidates fly the T-6B Texan II at training squadrons like VT-27. Here, 12% of candidates fail to adapt. For those who survive, the path transitions to the T-45C Goshawk for intermediate and advanced flight phases, where another 6% of students are eliminated. By the final advanced strike stage at NAS Meridian or Kingsville, Texas, the Navy has invested nearly $2 million in each pilot, yet 4.5% still wash out. Under a revised curriculum, student pilots earn their wings before attempting actual carrier landings, shifting initial carrier qualifications to post-graduation fleet replacement squadrons. This change raised training pipeline efficiency by 12%. Before students ever touch a real flight deck, they must master field carrier landing practice on shore runways, performing hundreds of simulated runs until the pattern becomes muscle memory. Modern carrier decks are entering a new era of automation. In July 2013, the unmanned X-47B, designated Salty Dog 502, completed the first fully autonomous carrier landing aboard the USS George H.W. Bush. Now, the MQ-25 Stingray joins fleet operations, launching from electromagnetic catapults and catching advanced arresting cables. Engineers view these systems as the future of precision, eliminating human physiological limits from the recovery loop. But for the pilots who have faced the pitch-black ocean, landing a jet remains an act of pure human judgment. Whether an algorithm can replicate that instinct remains an open question. As autonomous drones claim the flight deck, the era of the human pilot faces its final frontier. Yet no algorithm can replicate the sheer psychological grit required to land in the dark. The machines are coming, but this legacy of human precision remains unmatched. Share your thoughts below.